Number one mistake is many entrepreneurs make the mistake of taking a large market and multiplying it by 1% and saying, how hard could that be, conservatively speaking? So we'll just walk through a hypothetical case. 300 million Americans, 1 in 4 owns a dog. That's 75 million dogs. Each dog eats 2 cans of dog food per day. That's 150 million cans of dog food per day. How hard could it be to get a mere 1% of 150 million cans of dog food total addressable market? That's 1.5 million cans of dog food per day. Let's say you make $2 per can. That's $3 million a day. And now, dogs, this is not like enterprise software. Dogs eat every day. They don't take Saturday and Sunday off. So this is 365 days a year. We could, worst case, make $3 million a day. So conservatively speaking, worst case, with our rock star programmers, we should do $1 billion in the first year. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard like that. You take a large market, you multiply by a small number, and you say, how hard could that be? So there's 2 fundamental flaws with this. First, getting 1% of any market is not that easy, number one. And number 2, which sort of contradicts number 1, number 2 is no investor wants to hear that you only are going to get 1%. So in one sense, you're saying 1% is easy, but the investor is also hearing that, they're predicting they can only get 1% of this market. So you're betwixt and between. So don't use this kind of logic, okay? Don't take this large 300 million times 0.25, equals 150, equals 75, times 2 equals 150, times 1% equals 1.5 million. It just doesn't work like that. That's lie and mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, sort of the flip side of this, which is you scale too soon. So this is how this goes. So we go through the 1%, right? So conservatively speaking, you should be selling 1.5 million cans of dog food per day. Worst case, okay? So now you think, oh my God, we're going to need at least 3 facilities to ship this. And we're going to need co-location because our servers can never go down as these millions of dog owners come to our site and order dead cows in cans. And so we need order processing, we need fulfillment, we need customer service. So let's start ramping up because our rock star programmers who have never delivered a piece of software in their lives, they are going to be on time. Okay? And with our rock star marketing people and our rock star, BMW, cornflower blue, pierced ear business development vice president, he's going to deliver all the partnerships. So we need to ramp up. We need several locations. We need co-location of servers. We need customer service people. And so what happens in the real world is, of course, your rock star programmers turned out to be total bozos, right? And so your software is late. Your website is late. And the dogs, no pun intended, are not eating the food. It just happens that not that many people want to buy dog food online. So your software is late. These people are not buying your product, but you've already ramped up. You have several facilities. You have all this automation built in. You have customer service. You have people, in Bangalore just waiting to take those calls of people who need tech support for opening cans of dog food, right? So then what happens? So then what you do is you have a board meeting and you tell the investors, well, we were wrong. Our programmers have hit some limits using Visual Basic that they didn't foresee. And so now we really got it right. Now we're going to go to Python or we're going to go to PHP or maybe we'll go to MySQL, but Visual Basic just didn't work out. Okay, so investors are used to hearing this, that you're going to miss your first mark. So of course they understand. But then you say, but you know what? We've been really great at recruiting. So we have this great IT staff, we have this great support staff, we have this great fulfillment staff, and those people are rock stars. And so We know that our rock star team of programmers is going to be a few months late, but it would be a crying shame that we recruited all these great other support people to let them go now, because in 3 months, we're going to have to hire new people again and bring them into the company and train them again. We have so much invested in these great rock star people that we shouldn't let them go. And so what you do is you keep those people on board. Right? Because now you know you're going to ship in 3 months. Guess what? 3 months come by and you don't ship again. And now you have to go back to your board and you have to explain again. Well, we're not shipping, but we still have these great people we've invested in. We need to keep them because we will just have to hire people like them again and start from scratch. So that's what happens, scaling too soon. In my career, I have never seen a company die because it didn't scale fast enough. For once in my life, God help me, I would love to have a problem where I advise or invest in a company that couldn't scale fast enough. That would be, as we say, a high quality problem. Dear God, give me this problem once in my career. The company is growing too fast. Too many orders are coming in for dog food. They cannot handle the volume. Please, God, give me that problem. I know how to solve that problem. Okay? Usually what happens is you scale too fast in anticipation of a conservative 1% with the programs created by your rock star engineering staff. It doesn't come true. You're stuck with big overhead and you run out of money. That's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is an obsession with partnering. Okay? Let me tell you something. Partnering is bullshit. Partnering is bullshit. There's only one thing that counts in a startup. It's sales. Partnering is bullshit. Partnering means 2 organizations try to compensate for their weaknesses by partnering with another. 2 plus 2 will equal 3 in this case. Partnerships mean nothing. Don't get me started on this. You know what entrepreneurs should focus on is sales. Sales fixes everything. You want to be left alone by your investors? Meet your numbers. That's as simple as that. Nobody cares about partnering. Partnering is total bullshit. You only use that word whenever you don't have sales. Okay? Partnering is bullshit. Number 4. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are focusing on the pitching process. How do we pitch to raise money? How do we win business plan contests? How do we perfect our PowerPoint skills? And I'll tell you something. Listen, I can help you win a business plan contest. I can help you perfect your pitch. No question. But in the real world, the key is not the pitch. The key is the prototype. If someone gave me a choice of having a team come in with a great PowerPoint pitch or come in with a prototype that is working, I would pick the working prototype all day long. Because in a few hours, I can help most of you fix your pitch. I cannot in a few hours help anybody fix their prototype. Prototyping is the key. In a perfect world, in this VC world, it's changed completely now. And it used to be that you tried to raise money because you had to build a team, to write software, you needed a year, you needed $2 million, you need something like that, right? But now, if you think about it, all the things you need for a tech startup, they're free or cheap. Let's go down through the list. You need infrastructure. Okay? Infrastructure today is free or cheap. You use rack space. You use Amazon Web Services. You don't buy any servers anymore. You don't buy buildings. You don't lease buildings. You use Amazon. You use rack space. $1,000, you get a terabyte in the sky. Marketing. Before you had to throw parties, you had to hire PR firms, you had to do all this kind of stuff. Now you have Pinterest, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have Google+. You have LinkedIn. You have all this social media. The marketing is free. Before, you had to have commercial real estate. You had to have a team physically in one place. Now, many teams are virtual. You don't need as much commercial real estate. Before, you had to buy a license for SQL from Oracle. Now, everything is open source. So if you go down this list, everything is kind of free or cheap. And so this is a completely different world. And in this world, you are expected to show up with a prototype. Not just a pitch, a prototype. Because with $25,000 or $50,000, which is money that you should be able to get from your parents, from your credit cards, shaking down people you should show up with a prototype. It's a completely different expectation. And it works to your advantage. Because when you show up with a prototype, you have significantly reduced one risk, which is that you can actually deliver a product. Before, with PowerPoint, you had a much lower valuation because PowerPoint is total bullshit. You're making stuff up for PowerPoint, right? So let me tell you, I've been lied to so many times. You could not possibly tell me a lie that I have not heard. So the PowerPoint pitch is fundamentally a lot of bullshit, right? But a prototype is not bullshit unless the person you're showing it is so stupid that doesn't understand that you're using mock-ups. But then if the person is that stupid, arguably you wouldn't want that person's money because that person is too stupid. You don't want stupid money. So is prototype, not pitch, okay? Next lie is, if you are going to pitch, next mistake. This is called the Guy Kawasaki 10-20-30 rule of PowerPoint. I hope that you will trust me on this. The optimal number of slides in a PowerPoint presentation is 10. 10. You'd be lucky to get 10 thoughts across, 10 cogent points across, okay? The time you should be able to give those 10 slides in is 20 minutes. It's 10-20-30 rule. Now, you may ask, well, why would you limit yourself to 20 minutes when you have a 1-hour meeting? Well, probably not in this audience, but in most audiences, roughly 95% of the world is still using Windows. And so that 95% of the world, they need 40 minutes to make their laptop work with the projector. Okay? So if the whole world was using Macintosh, the rule would be 10-60-30, okay? But it's not true. So it's 10 slides, 20 minutes, and then the ideal font size is 30 points or larger. If you use 8, 10, or 12, you're going to be tempted to put too much text. Then you're going to read the text. And one slide into the presentation, your audience will figure out, this bozo is reading his slides. This bozo is reading verbatim. I can read silently to myself faster than this bozo can read them to me. I will just read ahead, okay? So, if you remember nothing else from this presentation, then in the business plan context, 10 slides. Do they even have 20 minutes? Do they even have 10 slides? Even better. In the real world, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-point font. A good rule of thumb for the font size is figure out who the oldest person is in the audience, divide his or her age by 2. 60-year-old VC, divide by 2, 30. 50-year-old VC, divide by 2. 25. Someday you may be pitching a 16-year-old VC. That day, God bless you, use the 8-point font. Okay? But until that day, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-point font. The next mistake of entrepreneurs is they believe that they should do things serially, which is to do things one at a time. First you raise money, then you build a team, then you write the software, then you ship, then you collect. Okay, that's a serial world. The serial world in entrepreneurship does not exist. Unfair as it may seem, if you are an entrepreneur, you are going to have to be raising money, writing software, prototyping, selling, recruiting, and collecting money, all at the same time. It is all these paths moving down the road at the same time. It is not a serial process. It is a parallel process. You need to understand that's how the world works. That it is all about moving multiple things down the road. In a perfect world, I grant you, it would be nice if all you could do was focus on money, and then all you had to do is focus on hiring, and then all you had to do is focus on programming, and then all you had to do is focus on selling, and then all you had to do is focus on collecting. That is not the real world. The real world is you have to do all that at once. Next mistake. Many entrepreneurs believe that as long as they and their buddies own 51% of the company, they are in control of the company. Because they believe in board meetings, things come down to a vote, and 51% wins. I have never seen anything come down to a vote in a board meeting. It's either everybody wants to do it or nobody wants to do it. And the fact that you retain 51% of the company may make you feel better and make you think you are in control of that company, but the truth is that the moment you take outside money, you have lost control of the company. Okay? It never comes down to a vote. 51 to 49. This is not the U.S. Senate. Okay? God help us, there's no such thing as a filibuster in a venture capital board meeting. But this is an illusion. The moment you take outside money, you have a moral, ethical, and financial obligation to the outside money. If you cannot deal with that, don't take outside money. 51% is an illusion of control. The next thing is that you believe that patents equals defensibility. The ideal number of times you should use the P word in your presentation is 1. We have filed patents. That's it. If you say it twice, we have filed patents, and it is going to create a defensible position for us. That's 2. You're wrong. Patents, realistically, will not help you. If you are acquired someday, yes, the acquiring company will love that you have patents. That's a good reason to do it. Another, probably the most compelling reason to file for patents as a startup is that it will make your parents proud. That they can say that my daughter or my son has a patent to her name, to his name. That is worth something. Okay? But if you believe that you patented something and that's going to make you defensible, you are deluding yourself. Because it takes about 5 or 6 years to file this patent and get it done. And then let's suppose you do this. You file it, you get it done, and let's say Microsoft steps all over your patent. So now you have to ask yourself, do you have the time and the money to out-litigate Microsoft? And the answer to that is no, you don't. You never will. Now, every once in a while, you hear this great story that some file compression utility company in Calabasas, California has won a $60 million suit against Microsoft. Okay, you would hear that. But you know what? Getting infringed and suing Microsoft successfully is not a fundable business model. Okay? And the reason why there's headlines when Microsoft loses a lawsuit like that is because it hardly ever happens. If it happened every day, it would not be used. And then they never follow up that story to see if the thing was appealed and if the little company in Calabasas, California ever really collected the $60 million. Okay? So file the patent. God bless you. But don't think that it makes you defensible. And for sure, don't tell a sophisticated investor that the reason why we are defensible is because we filed a patent. Because in fact, that's a very good test. If when you say that, the investor laughs and rolls his or her eyes, that's a smart investor. If the investor says, yeah, that's true, walk out of that room. Okay? That person is an idiot. Patents do not, I hope there's no patent lawyers in here. Now, I would say the exception to that is probably biotech, where you can patent a drug, okay? But, if you believe that you can patent a method to sell dog food online using crowdsourced referrals, let's just say that, I wish I could short privately held companies. Next mistake is to hire in your own image. You know what? If you're an engineering person, you need to balance off or balance out your engineering prowess. So an engineering person should hire a salesperson. A salesperson should hire an engineering person. Many times, companies like to all hire the same kind of people. And when that happens, you'll have glaring weaknesses. You're totally engineering, or you're totally sales or you're totally biz dev. You need to hire people who complement your skills. Fundamentally, what you need in a startup is you need someone to make it, you need someone to sell it, and you need someone to collect it. You need those three people, okay? I didn't mention biz dev, I didn't mention anything else. I'm saying make it, sell it, and collect it. That's what you need. And so the danger is that, if you're a sales and marketing oriented guy, you hire sales and marketing oriented people, but you really need to balance off all the talents in a company. So remember, make it, sell it, and collect it. You need all three skills. The next mistake is befriending your venture capitalists. The way this works is you get funded by a VC, and the day that they say yes or the day the check clears, you say, wow, I heard VCs are assholes, but not this one. This one really understands what we're doing. This one really likes us. This one said that he's never seen a team as good as ours. And this one said that he's going to stick with us. And this one said that he has such confidence in our ability, having hired all these Visual Basic programmers, that basically he's going to leave us alone. We're not one of his problem portfolio companies. We're one of the most promising ones. And you know what? He also said that they don't invest in technologies. They don't invest in markets. They invest in people. They invest in people, and they invested in us. So no matter how much we screw up, because they invested in people, they're going to like us, and they're going to give us more chances to get it right because they invested in us. Not the prototype we showed, not the market forecast we showed, none of that. It's people. They're our best friends. They said that they'll always be available. Call them anytime. Pick up the phone. They'll even come in and roll up their sleeves and work with us because they're investing in people. They're my friends. I think I'll take up golf and start playing golf with them, Let me tell you something. Nice shirt up there. I like that shirt. Yeah. VCs and investors are not your friends. I'm not saying you should hate them, okay? But I am saying that it is a business. They are in the business of making money. They're not in the business of making friends. Angel investors, maybe. But venture capitalists are not in the business of making friends. They would rather hate you as a CEO, but see you go public and make them rich. Okay? Don't believe that they're your friends. Don't try to become their friend. Just make your forecasts. Okay? That's all that they really care about. And I've seen time and time again where the CEO really believes. So here's like what happens. So you raise money, you miss your first ship date. The board knows you're going to miss your first ship date because everybody does that. Everybody does that. But, they invested in you, so they still support you. You miss your second date, and now they say, well, you really have to be careful. We're going to give you another $5 million, but now, we're really going to hold you accountable. Then you have one more meeting, and to your utter surprise, they're saying, we want you to step aside. And you say, but last month you said you're going to stick with us because you still believe in us. What happened in the last 30 days? And the VC will say, well, every Monday I was going to our partner meeting, and every Monday I was telling them, well, they slipped, but they look really promising. They have rock stars, they 1% of all these dogs eating food, how hard could that be? So I kept telling this story Monday after Monday after Monday, and then finally we had this partner offsite, and I just got tired of defending you guys. And I just, it's not worth my bandwidth because my time and my mental faculties are so important. So we're going to take you as a loser company in our portfolio, and we're going to take this other loser company in our portfolio, and we're going to sell your assets to the other loser company, and we're going to declare victory that you were acquired. So everybody's happy, except you have to step aside. You are now gone. And then the CEO goes home in a state of shock and he says, frickin' VC, last month they loved me, this month they don't love me, they're throwing me out, I don't understand what happened, we own 51%, we're going to take it to a vote. Yeah, right. So, okay, again, I don't want you to think I'm full of anger, okay, but don't try to befriend your VC. The key to managing a VC or any investor is to just meet your projections, okay? Meet your projections. My advice to you is that you set projections that you are 80% confident you'll make. 80%. That's the minimum confidence you should have. 80%. God bless you if you do 100%. You will make history because you're the first person who met your forecast. If you do 120%, you're a god or a goddess, not to be sexist. So you need to underpromise and overdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver, okay? Now, you might ask, well, what happens if our realistic projection doesn't make the company interesting enough to get funded? Like, what's the bottom end? And that is a real problem. And I will tell you that, venture capital is not for everybody. That venture capital is playing a game. Every venture capitalist wants to fund the next Google, right? So lots of companies are just thrown out of that there's no way that a new chain of restaurants is likely to be the next Google. It could be the next McDonald's, don't get me wrong, but the likelihood is very low. It's unlikely that a consulting practice is the next Google or that a web design company is the next Google. There's some things that are just not applicable for venture capital. There's only several thousand deals happen for venture capital per year of the millions of companies that start. So don't set yourself up for failure. They're looking for the next Google. They will settle for a $100 million exit, but they want the next Google. That's the game you've decided to play. Okay? So, don't befriend your VC. And then the last one is, don't assume that VCs truly can add value. At any given moment, a VC is on 5 to 10 boards of directors. They are also looking at companies every day. They are very, very busy people. They're a touch ADHD. They're certainly egocentric. It's very difficult for most VCs to separate causation and correlation, right? That, they invested in a certain company and it did so well that it must have been them who made that company succeed. Be interesting to ask the CEO what his or her version of that success story is. So, a VC can pick up the phone and introduce you, can send an email to introduce you, can help you recruit, but you shouldn't think that they're going to do a lot of heavy lifting. Fundamentally, what you want from a VC is money, and you want 2 or 3 hours a month of their bandwidth. That's about it. Should be happy with that. If you get that, you're doing well. And the irony is that the more successful you are, the more bandwidth you'll get, which is kind of unfortunate because the less successful, the more you might have needed the help. But what happens with these things is the venture capital game is a game of hindsight. So what you do is you invest in 20 companies. 1 or 2 become successful. Maybe it's a mega success, but let's just say it's a moderate success. And so you have invested in 20 companies. Let's say 1 is successful. So people ask you about the 1 company and you say, I knew that was a good team. I knew there was rock stars. I know they were in a great market. Millions of dogs, more dogs coming out every day. I knew this was a good business model, that we were going to disintermediate this very inefficient way of getting dead cows into cans to dogs, right? Why was there a pet food store in the middle? So stupid. The pet food store was grabbing 25% margin. What value did that pet food store add? You had to get in your car, drive to the pet food store, find a parking space, go into the pet food store, and then what? It's dead cows in cans. Did you do any point of purchase analysis? Did you do any taste tests? No, they added no value. So it was so obvious that, of course, there had to be a better way to buy dead cows in cans. So I knew that. I knew the team was rock stars. I knew the great business model. I knew there was a great market. So I invested in that company. Then asked the VC, so what about the web van that you invested and put $400 million in so people could buy broccoli online? Why did you invest in web van? Why did you invest in web van? And the VC will tell you, my partners did that deal. I told them that was a stupid idea. Not nearly the potential of selling dead cows in cans to the 75 million Americans who own dogs. It's a very retroactive business. I'm not saying that all VCs are like this, but I'm telling you, have realistic expectations of venture capital. It's a mistake that many, many entrepreneurs make. And so, believe it or not, that's 11 mistakes that entrepreneurs make because I believe in over-delivering.